Hi, my name is Franz Kurtzky. I'm a fourth-year philosophy student here at UBC. I've been, I think fair to say, very involved in the free speech activism on this campus. And I have a question for you. You've sort of, please be patient, it's going to take a couple words to get this out. So, you've talked about, just briefly mentioned gender-neutral pronouns. And you also talked about, you were a little bit critical, I think, about Jordan Peterson. So, very briefly, I started a theater course recently, an elective course here at UBC. And I think it's important to keep talking about what we're talking about. I'm here for the same reason a lot of people are, which is that I think there's something like a free speech movement being created on the campuses. And I think the reason for that is that young men in particular, although there's many wonderful red-pilled women here tonight, thank you, are kicking back for the right. You mentioned that it's not always, that there's a content when you're talking about free speech. And the content for me, and for a lot of people, I think, it's the right to criticize the distortions and the excesses and some of the technical inaccuracies in the narrative of
Do you
third.
Have a question?
Yeah, well.
Okay, ask it.
Okay, well, life's complex, you know.
You're not up there. You're asking a question. Ask them a question. Yeah, he was.
I'm sorry, I've been diagnosed on the autism spectrum several times. That might be the issue.
Sure. Just let him finish the question.
I'm trying to make a point sensitively, because there's different groups here. There's free speechers, there's people who are trans, there's different kind of metaphysical assumptions. But here's fine.
You want me to be
you want me to be blunt? I'll put it out blunt. Here's the deal. I think that we're not talking about enough about the campus issues, because this is a talk having on the campus in the middle of a kind of a culture war. And at the core of that are issues, let's use one example, gender-neutral pronouns. Okay? Is that satisfying? So
ask me the question.
Yeah, sorry. So what I wanted to ask you about is this. My thought on this, so I was in the theater course, and we start the course, it's about culture, and we start the question, I want this to be a safe space, says the professor. I want all you to give your pronouns as we introduce each other, says the professor. So the question is, with situations like that, I want to ask your questions about policy and culture of how we're going to move forward with this. The reason why I think this matters is because trans individuals, biological males, biological females, who identify with the other side, and that's, again, it's a touchy issue, right? I don't want to upset people.
Can we get to the question, please? Can we get to the question, please?
I am asking a question.
We're waiting.
Yeah. The question is, how are we going to deal with this? Because for me, using she, using her, these kind of things to refer to biological males, biological females who identified with or aspired to be the other side was a previous societal accommodation. It was a kindness, it was a generosity. But it does not change their evolutionary biological status as technically biologically male or female.
So do we
and so
before the theory of evolution gained traction, people used gendered pronouns without any difficulty, without any awareness of the formal role of sex in human evolution. Mm-hmm. I don't think that evolutionary biology pertains to the use of pronouns in the English language in any respect.
But people mix gender and sex all the time, and I think that's a mistake. Sex, I think, is what pronouns refer to. And when you use alternate sex pronouns for people who are trans, that is a generosity. That is a kindness extended by society.
In what situations does sex determine what pronouns you use?
In what situations?
Yes.
The situation of being biologically born into one sex or the other.
So what is biological sex? Chromosomes?
Well,
genitals?
There are fine distinctions there, but most of the time that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about gender-neutral pronouns.
There's fine distinctions.
Yeah, so the
I
final part.
I don't check your blood to make sure you're XY before calling you he. I don't say pull down your pants, everyone. I don't know what pronouns. There's a certain
There will be chances to.
I'll end the topic. So the final question for you to leave with you, Lewis. Yes, Lewis.
There will be time after to speak one-on-one when it comes to these long conversations.
Sure.
For the interest of time and for the other people who have questions, we'll move on.